Welcome on into the show. I'm your host, Will Ortner, and in a shocking development, we have more trade news for you. Obviously, this show is coming courtesy of ESPN, and it's just that time of year. When the Seattle Seahawks have any kind of news or rumors revolving around trades, we have to do a story on it because that trade deadline is fast approaching. Make sure that you join Seahawks today by subscribing to the channel. The moment that there is any breaking news, the moment that the Seattle Seahawks make a trade that you're going to want to know about, I'm going to do a video. You do not want to miss it. Best way to not miss it is subscribing to the channel and then by turning on your notifications. Now, in a shock to nobody, because it wouldn't be a complete trade rumors list anymore if you did not have Riq Woolen on that list. This one by Jeremy Fowler of ESPN and his counterpart, Matt Bowen. They had Riq Woolen as the fourth player on the list of potential trade targets. Now, it's not shocking. Obviously, Ian Rappaport about a month ago had his tweet where he said the Seahawks are actively shopping Riq Woolen away, and many of you, like myself, thought that this deal would have been done long ago. But there's a couple of reasons why it hasn't been done. Jeremy Fowler did say that multiple league executives have Woolen earmarked as a strong trade candidate leading into the deadline. Now, obviously, that is going to be in that first week in November, so we don't have too much longer to go before we're going to know if Riq Woolen will stay in Seattle or if he will be going. Riq Woolen's going to be a better fit in a man coverage team. Mike Macdonald here in Seattle likes to run his own coverage team. This isn't attack on Riq Woolen. This isn't downplaying any of his abilities. It's just when you're in a zone coverage team, the football IQ kind of has to be a little bit higher. You're looking for a guy a little bit more like a Richard Sherman. Obviously, Richard Sherman is the peak of that ability as a corner, but someone who can see things happening before they do, where Riq Woolen does a much better job where he is in man coverage, where you sit him across from a different wide receiver and you say, you shut him down today. Wherever he goes, you go, and you find a way to slow him and stop him down. This is what Matt Bowen had to say in that same article on Riq Woolen. He's a fourth-year pro with a 6'4" frame and elite speed. No one has the speed and the size combination that Riq Woolen has at that cornerback position. Woolen has 11 interceptions and 30 pass breakups in his career. Inconsistent tackling and lapses in eye discipline, that's what's been killing him in Mike Macdonald's system, the eye discipline, have prevented him from reaching his ceiling. But Woolen has the physical traits to help a defense majoring in man coverage. Now, you can look at his career stats since Riq Woolen has been in the NFL. Obviously, that first year in 2022 is where you see that big explosion. Pete Carroll really getting the most out of him. And then every year after that, he's kind of downgraded and taken a step back. Now, to be fair, this year, obviously, he missed some time having a concussion, suffered in that Tampa Bay game, so he doesn't finish all of that one. And then he doesn't play against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I also do want to make it clear, I felt that Riq Woolen had one of his best games, if not his best game of this season last week against the Houston Texans on Monday night. I get why teams want Riq Woolen. I mean, we saw it. We saw what he can be. Monday night, he was freaking awesome. Nobody caught the ball around him. He was shutting everybody down. He was making everybody kind of remember what the good things are in Riq Woolen. But in Seattle, there's some clear displeasure at this point. People are kind of over his big moment mistakes. They just keep happening. But I think the reason why Riq Woolen is still in Seattle, aside from maybe not quite getting the trade compensation that GM John Schneider would really appreciate, it's what Jeremy Fowler had to say here in this piece. And the one potential hurdle to the deal, Fowler says, Seattle's other starting corner, Devin Witherspoon, has had a difficult time staying healthy this season. You have a lot of injuries in that cornerback room right now. There's a point in time where I feel like you can't move on from Riq Woolen because when he wasn't healthy, you kept having to call up Shaq Griffin from the practice squad. Nehemiah Pritchett hasn't knocked my socks off. I understand that Riq Woolen has his issues. I understand that Riq Woolen makes his mistakes. He's a starting corner on probably, 30 of the 32 NFL teams, he might be a starting corner on all 32 of them. He's a guy that's going to play on every roster. And we're at a point where I don't know that I see a trade happening because you have too many injuries in that secondary. And even once everyone becomes healthy, you saw just how slim the pickings are. If you trade Riq Woolen away and you do not get a cornerback in return, who fills in if Devin Witherspoon or Josh Jobe go down? You've seen Josh Jobe kind of take a step back. He's still a good starting corner in the NFL, 100%. Not disputing that. But are we sure that that's the road we want to go? Sometimes it's good to have a little iron sharpens iron. And I understand that Riq Woolen's in the last year of his contract, and you might not bring him back. Maybe you play a little bit for this year and you just let it go. And it is part of the business. Hope that John Schneider can go and find another guy like a Darian Kendrick, like a Josh Jobe, to play and perform well for you off the scrap heap. I want you to be the GM, though. Let me know. Would you trade Riq Woolen? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. I'm pretty clear on where I stand. If you had to ask me, you came up and said, Will, what are you doing? My answer is no. I'm typing N. What would you type? Let me know down below. I want to get into the more surprising candidate that was on that ESPN list. But before I do, I want to let you know about the proud sponsors of today's video. And that, of course, is PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if your picks are right, you could cash in. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks does not hit. PrizePicks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. You can see my 3-pick power play up on the screen right now. Jamar Chase, more than his receiving yards. Bijan Robinson, more than his rush and receiving TDs. Jonathan Taylor, more than his rush and receiving TDs. Again, that's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Now, I've been mentioning this surprising trade candidate that was listed on this ESPN report in Seattle. Maybe surprising is a bit hyperbolic. Maybe that's a bit too much, because I've heard rumblings of this player potentially being on the trading block, but it's not a guy that I thought you would be willing to move on from. That's Boye Mafe. The edge rusher was an honorable mention in that ESPN article as someone who could be potentially on the trade market, someone that could potentially be traded by the deadline. I'm surprised. I think that edge room is strong. I would say it's strong. You are missing an elite pass rusher, but I wouldn't say that I've been let down necessarily by Boye Mafe. I know there's a lot more room for growth. I know there's a lot more success that people were expecting to see from him. But I would still say that Boye Mafe can be very much used in this defense. We go through here now and look at his career stats. Obviously, you see that big growth between the first year and the second year. Look at the sack numbers. I mean, triples it, right? Then you have a slight downturn. Obviously, there's some injuries, so that can kind of account for the sack numbers being lower, the tackle numbers being lower. This year, no sacks through 7 games is a big problem. 9 tackles isn't great. Now, I would say this. Mafe's having a down year. I think that's clear. I think we can all agree on that. But what I would point out to you is his pass rush win rate. At one point in this year, Boye Mafe was a top 10 defensive end when it came to, or I should say defensive edge rusher, when it came to pass rush win rate. That means when he's going up against an offensive tackle, he was getting into the backfield. So he's winning reps. He just isn't finishing with tackles. He isn't finishing with sacks. What does that mean? Is that because the quarterback is getting rid of the ball quickly? Is that because he is getting into the backfield and other people are beating him to the quarterback? Is it because, well, he's now chasing the quarterback to somebody else? All of these three possibilities all kind of play a role in this. But I worry that if you get rid of Boye Mafe, now this edge room gets a little bit lighter. Do you make a trade? Do you move on from him? Uchenna Nwosu's been great this year. I'd be lying if I said he's not an injury-prone player, or at least a player that I find to be injury-prone. We saw what happens when you lose the two rush edge positions in DeMarcus Lawrence and Derek Hall. The defense could not get to Baker Mayfield at all, and he tore you apart. Well, now if Boye Mafe is traded away, you don't bring back an edge rusher. Uchenna Nwosu, he gets hurt. He's been known to do it. Is there anybody else there? Who comes in and fills in? Do you trust O'Toole? Do you trust Ivy? Do you move Derek Hall over? I don't know if there is a plan there. Now, I would say this. If your plan already, as John Schneider, is to just move on, you're done with Boye Mafe, hey, we've seen enough, he's not performing to the level we need him to, then yeah, sure, man, trade him. Go get an offensive lineman or go and try and package him and some picks to go and get like a Kayvon Thibodeau or, another edge rusher, Jalen Phillips, Jermaine Johnson, Bradley Chubb. Would love a little Chubb in Seattle. If those are the decisions that you decide to make, well then cool, because Mafe is going to be a free agent in the offseason. But if there isn't a plan there, frankly, the offer better be pretty good. If someone's calling in about Boye Mafe, they better be willing to pay up. He is actually one that, after doing some research, I could see Seattle being willing to move on from. Make sure you go and follow me over on X. I am constantly tweeting about your Seattle Seahawks. Always got them on the brain. I had a nice fire tweet about Jackson Smith and Jigba today. That might be something that you want to go and check out. And then, of course, subscribe. You want to join the family here at Seahawks Today. We are closing in on that big 75K number. You want to be a part of it. You do not want to miss out on that. And until next time, I'll see you later.